An interesting report, well timed, as 420 was just 2 days ago, where a lot of people, a lot of pro-cannabis, shall we say, enthusiasts, I'm not one of them by the way, took to the streets to demand the legalisation of the drug. In fact, many people turned out yesterday, not just in the UK, but also in places in Berlin, to demand the drug's decriminalisation, which I've got to say certainly isn't helped by those who attended London's Hyde Park, who ended up stoned, but fighting.
Yeah. Is that a boy? Yeah, it's a gay brother,
Also, reports of police arresting people for having weapons, including a machete, a knife and a knuckle duster. Reports suggest that the IOPC have said that the smell of cannabis, yep, that old chestnut, coppers' go-to tool for people who refuse to comply with their unlawful orders in order to get their person out of their car or to empty their pockets in the street, should not be used as a reason to stop and search somebody.
My name under what law, mate? What have I done wrong though? What criminal offence have I done, mate?
You haven't committed any offence?
I haven't committed no offence, mate, so you see...
What are you backing off for?
Because I'm videoing you. What for? Under what rule, mate? What drugs have I done? Under... I don't smell of cannabis, mate. I haven't smoked cannabis. I don't.
You do.
I don't.
Your pupils are very direct as well.
You know?
Right, listen to me now. I'm Sergeant Wilson from Marsh Lane Police Station. Are you listening to me, right?
I
At
listen
this
to
moment in time, you're being detained for the purpose of a search under the provisions of Section 23 of the Misuse of
But I don't do those drugs, mate.
Listen to me. You've just asked me for an explanation. I'm giving you one, okay? So at this moment in time, you're detained for that purpose, for the purpose of a search under those provisions. You'll obviously be entitled to a copy.
So if cannabis or cocaine makes your pupils dilate, I'd certainly be questioning this prick on whether his pupils are constricted due to heroin use. The IOPC has called for an overhaul of the stop and search laws, it says, in order to crack down on racial disparities. Personally, I'd stop bringing race into it and simply say to stop unlawful and unjustified stop and searches. But that's just me, even if it does make some people call me a racist for not following the "we're all racist" agenda. Now obviously the IOPC have had to be cautious, as a simple ban on using that excuse could lead to a huge drop in statistics for the police. So they have said it shouldn't be used as a lone reason to stop and search someone, and that the smell should not lead to police to assume the person is in possession of drugs. Which, to be honest, it never should have been anyway. I mean, I've known some people who don't smoke the stuff, but their fucking BO stinks of weed. And I think that's why I don't like it, to be honest. I mean, imagine constantly being stopped by police because your perspiration problem. I mean, that's discrimination on its own, because it could be a medical condition. Now, the IOPC have put forward 18 recommendations in total aimed at improving police practice and building back confidence in black communities across England and Wales. And you know what I'm going to say here, don't you? Stop focusing on black communities and start focusing on the wider problem. The police themselves. Many of us have been stopped because some blood has smelt drugs or said they smelt them. It is simply a tool used against anybody they don't like the look of, or anyone their copper's nose twitches at. Not that a copper's snout is much good these days. The report said that its aim is to safeguard people from black, Asian or other ethnic minority backgrounds who have been subjected to stop and search powers due to stereotyping and bias. Does this now mean that in order for police to fill up their statistics, we're going to be targeted, white folk? Can you see where this goes when people start pandering to certain subsets of community instead of treating us all with the respect we all deserve? In the year ending March 2021, people from black or black British background were said to have been 7 times more likely to have been stopped and searched than those from a white background. People from an Asian or Asian British background or mixed ethnic background were said to be 2.5 times more likely to be stopped and searched in comparison to their white counterparts. That would be me. But does this necessarily mean the police are being racist? I know this is going to smash the narrative a bit, but when you look at a country by country breakdown on the use of cannabis, in Chile, with a 34.8% annual prevalence of cannabis use, there is almost a 50-50 split between white population and BAME. Ghana, with a 21.5% annual prevalence of cannabis use, with the majority of the country being what we'd call BAME. Sierra Leone, with 16.1% annual prevalence of cannabis use, again, not exactly a white country. Nigeria at 14.3%, Dominica and Grenada both at 10.6%. Again, majority BAME. And I'll use BAME instead of black just to keep the trolls off my back. Antigua, 10.6%. Jamaica, 9.9%. Zambia, 9.5%. Madagascar, Barbados, Argentina, all with higher rates than England and Wales, which sits at just 6.6% annual usage prevalence. So in reality, BAME folks are from places and cultures more likely to be users of cannabis, based on those facts. And that's not racism, that are facts. Yes, there are some European countries, but the vast majority with the highest prevalence are from countries with populations mainly existing of black, Asian or ethnic minorities. And the fact that here in the UK you tend to see groups of people collectively setting up, in many cases, in communities that are like they are, which is why we see areas in London, for example, that are predominantly Asian, predominantly black, predominantly Muslim. Therefore, it makes sense that people more likely, statistically, to be users of the drug live in these communities, which when policed will see more of the majority of that particular ethnicity in that area stopped and searched. Does this mean that police are being racist? Does this mean that the police are targeting BAME folk purposely? I don't necessarily think it does, in my opinion. And that's not to say that your opinion is wrong. This is simply what I see. Just as in areas such as Gwent in Wales, where there is a 90+% population of white folk, known as the most undiverse place in the country, there will be more white folk stopped and searched because the area is predominantly white. Now, I am certainly not taking away from the fact that there are discriminatory people in the police, as there are in every walk of life and in every profession. But statistics can and are manipulated to fit a narrative. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick a video just up here. I'm going to link to a video up here about how statistics are used, manipulated and used to lie in order to fit a certain narrative. It's a video that I've watched. It taught me quite a bit about the use of statistics, and I'm going to suggest that you watch it at the end of this video because it is very interesting. Anyway, I think I've made my point on that, so moving on. Since 2018, the police watchdog has collected data from appeals that have found that when used correctly, stop and search procedures can be a useful component of policing, but added that police forces in England and Wales needed to strive to work better with affected communities and build trust. The National Police Chief Council and College of Policing are recommended to work together to develop guidelines on how to safeguard black, Asian or other minority ethnic people from experiencing the disproportionate use of force in the police response during stop and searches due to racial bias. In other words, whether to use handcuffs or not. There is also suggestions that research may be commissioned into the trauma caused to BAME people by these police actions. Sal Nassim, IOPC lead on discrimination, said it was time to break the cycle of the abuse of police powers against marginalised communities. We are concerned about the impact of stop and search on ethnic minority groups, in particular the negative effect it can have on public confidence in policing. It cannot be underestimated how traumatic a stop and search encounter can be on an individual If carried out intensively, a person can be left feeling humiliated and victimised. Just black people, apparently. The experience can also be the first interaction for some young adults, and if it is a negative one, this can have a lasting impact on the person and the trust they put in the police. It is time to break the cycle. The challenge for police forces is to build bridges with those in communities who feel marginalised, so those same people feel confident in coming to the police when needed. Now, I certainly do not want this to turn into a BAME bashing video. It's not. And I don't want people cussing BAME folk in the comments. I understand that when something happens to us, we directly see it as an attack on us, whether you're black or white. But as long as people continue to use racism as an excuse to further pit us against each other, the more we will distance ourselves from our communities, leading the way for segregated communities, which is already happening, by the way, where whites will be afraid to go, or blacks will be afraid to go to certain areas due to this ever-increasing narrative that we're all bad for each other. We can all work together as one race, the human race. And as soon as we do that, the government and police lose much of its power and its hold over us. Yeah, there are some discriminatory people out there. I get discriminated against because I'm a bit of a fat porker. No woman wants me anymore because of it. But it doesn't mean I turn against women. Some people are ignorant. That will never change. It's been that way since the dawn of civilization. And as soon as we realise that and learn to ignore those idiots and come together with people who do want to live in a society where there is less fighting and arguing, leading to, in some cases, deaths of people over something like colour or gender, then the sooner we will live in a better world. Big thank you to channel supporters, especially these guys. Your support is truly appreciated. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police and other officials.